Everybody, let's get into this season finale of the Oval. Now, we pick up where we left off last time, where after in the aftermath of where um, Victoria had slapped Ellie down, and Victoria's telling Hunter, "You don't learn," and Ellie's trying to act like she doesn't know what she did. What did I do? What did I do? And I'm like, you know what you did. So anyway, Victoria is saying what she usually does. Obviously, she's angry. Now let's get on to Barry and Sharon. So Sharon is in the room sleep, and Barry comes in and she sits up and she wants to talk about Kareem. Barry doesn't want to talk about that. He says, I need to get over that because every time I'm going to think about that pharmacy, because Sharon said she needs to go into the pharmacy. He's like, every time I think about that, I'm going to think about him on top of you and him touching you and everything. And he just needs some time to get over it. And I'm not sure why Sharon wants to talk about the situation right now. Anyway, it just is not a good idea. And then before Barry leaves, she asks him, I need to ask you a question. Do you sell drugs? And Barry's like, no, I worked my tail off. I'm busting my butt working every odd job. And you asked me that? And he's like, who told you that? And she doesn't want to say, and he kind of knew that it was Kareem. He was like, him. And it was a valid question, but at the same time, I mean, anything involving Kareem, obviously Barry's not going to want to talk about. So Barry leaves the room and he goes out there and he talks to Richard and he's asking him, well, where's mom at? And Richard's like, his attitude is sort of like this. And Barry's like, well, you're not worried about where she's at. And he's still like, I mean, I think he senses that Nancy's not in any danger, and he knows she's just, gone somewhere to give him some space. So he's like, you know what, whatever. I'm not worried about her like that. That was his attitude. And then Barry says he's gonna go look for find out some information about his daughter. And Richard looks concerned, and Barry's like, oh, I'm good, I'm good. And so over at Priscilla's house, Priscilla's trying to reassure Nancy that everything will be okay with Richard, and she's like saying you need to talk to him and all that. And so Sam, he's leaving for work and he's gonna leave. He's just gonna leave without giving Priscilla a goodbye kiss. And she's like, "What? No kiss?" And he gives her a half-hearted kiss, and Nancy's looking like she knows something's wrong. She's like, "What's wrong with him? Is he all right?" Um, so let's get to the White House. So Ellie gets a note from Hunter and she's smiling and all that. And Diane, the secretary, comes in and she's demanding coffee. She gets in her office and she asks her where the results are, from the FBI on those underwear. And Ellie, and then she needs to go, and then she goes to see Donald's assistant. And and Ellie calls up and it wait, how did it okay. Did she call Ellie call? I can't remember exactly who called who. But it was communicated between Ellie and Donald's assistant. His name is Alan's communicated that Diane was on her way. So back in the White House kitchen, Jean is acting rattled, and we obviously know why because the whole situation with the severed head and all that. And Priscilla's trying to find out what's going on, and Jean's like, "There's something top secret happened," and Priscilla wants to tell Sam, "Oh, I'm gonna tell Sam," and um, Jean does not want that, and it's clear why because it's a big mess. And and poor Jean. I mean, this episode ended so terribly. This first episode, and the end of the last episode, it was awful. So, oh, so on to Victoria and her children. So she's saying, well, you all are gonna go stay with your grandmother. And Jason's like, do I have to? And he really didn't want to go, and neither did Gail. So, and then Victoria is asking Secret Service where Sam is at. And pretty much we could tell what she had in mind because she's flirted with Sam before and all of that. So, Jean is the one doing the packing for the children. So she asks her, did you find anything out, in regards to Picky? And Jean's like, no. And then she threatens her with threatens to tell her parents what Jean said about them. And Jean's like, you know what, go ahead. Basically, do what you need to do. Jean was not really caring about that part because, it's kind of like to be blackmailed like that, it's annoying. And, if you're gonna do it, just say it, whatever. So over in Donald's office, Diane is asking questions about Max and Yuma and this whole mess because they got shot, and she says it's because the press is pretty much hounding her about it. And Donald's not really giving her much help on that because Kyle came up with that whole BS story, and and that's supposed to be the story, but I don't it, he Donald wasn't giving her much to get the press off her back. And then he asked her if she accused the president of sleeping with her aide, and he wants her to cancel that DNA test and all of that, and he also wants the underwear. And uh and uh anyway, that just is a big mess, and we'll see where this whole situation transitions to, because it's really good. We'll all get to that. And then Ellie, she's talking on the phone. She's talking to Alan. I think they were on the phone, and she said, I think the president wants to make me the press secretary. And Diane gets on the phone, and she's talking to her contact at the FBI, and it turns out she didn't really cancel those results like Donald told her to. And I put a little note in here about Ellie because for some reason she reminds me of the girl in Coming to America that was like, and I want to be a pop singer and a rock singer, and I want to write the stories that I'm starring in and produce the stories I do. She reminds me of her for some reason. And I just thought that was fun. That was funny to me, and I just threw that in. So Victoria, she has a conversation with Kyle, and she wants to know where that mattress is at. And of course, he gives the standard it's been taken care of, and he says there's video of me getting rid of the mattress, and my face is in it. So obviously, I've implicated myself. So that pretty much that means he has reason to make sure that the video is deleted and everything is covered up. He just took the video for Hunter's benefit. And Victoria, she starts messing with Kyle because she loves to push people's buttons, and she's like, "Are you trying to get him in your covers? You love a challenge. He's really good and a freak." And I think the actor playing Kyle, I think he almost broke character because he was like kind of looked like he was trying to laugh, and it was kind of funny the way Victoria was delivering these lines. It was funny. And but Victoria picked up on that, that he is after Hunter, because he outright offered to sleep with Hunter, and Hunter thought he was joking. And but Victoria is perceptive enough to pick up on that. So over at the pharmacy, Kareem, he's still mad about what happened, and he's like, "Thanks for letting me know where your heart is really at." And then he says he lied about breaking up with his girlfriend, and he's like, "Go ahead, call her and ask her." And he's like, you know what? I just wanted to, all I wanted to do was, and I think we know that's pretty much all Sharon wanted to do, because I think Barry is the man that she actually wants to be with, but in the moment with all the stuff that happened with Barry, I think she just wanted to get off with somebody, and Kareem was conveniently there. And they're going back and forth, and she's like, you know what, I need my money. And so she goes in the back to get her lab coat. And so I for now she's still working at the pharmacy. So Donald and Kyle. So Kyle tells Donald that Lily is filed for divorce and he wants to take care of Lily, as in kill her. And Donald's like, he's just gonna let this happen. And I'm like, so you're really gonna let Kyle kill Lily when all she is doing is getting a divorce, and she's just removing herself from a toxic situation, and you're just going to allow her to be killed for basically protecting her own interests and her own sanity and well-being and all that. And Donald is a piece of crap. And so then Alan comes in the room and he says, the the president is meeting with his new press secretary. And Don's like, oh no. And so he goes up in the Oval Office and wait, not yet. Okay, so Hunter and Ellie were in the Oval Office flirting. And so Diane and Donald, they come in, and he tells them, well, he tells Diane, Hunter tells Diane, Ellie is your new boss. She's the new press secretary. And it's like, what? And Donald is trying to dissuade Hunter of doing this. And, Hunter's not listening. He wants to do what he wants to do. We obviously know why he wants to hire Ellie. It's not because she is qualified. We obviously know that. And so Diane was livid. She's telling Donald, I left a Fortune 500 company. You recruited me here with so many promises. And she had a right to be outraged. Oh, because she's getting put out for somebody who's not even qualified. And she said, I've been in public relations for 25 years. So anyway, back in the Oval Office, Ellie thanks Hunter, so she ends up kissing, and she's like, consider this your debrief. Yeah, that line was so silly. So anyway, back to Victoria and her wacko, crazy family. So Gail has locked herself in the bathroom with all her toiletries. That's what Jean told Victoria. And so Jean goes in there to finish packing up Jason's things. And he's like, I hate my parents. They suck and all that. And then he asks Jean if she sucks. And I'm like, uh-oh. That's when we really knew Jean was in trouble. And we knew Jean was in trouble from the very first episode because Jason was creepy from the start. And he ends up attacking Jean. And I'm like, Jean should have quit that job a long time ago because that whole family is psychotic, and Jason is pretty much the most dangerous. And so so on to part two. And so Jason, he was begging Jean not to say anything. Please don't say anything. Please, 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 please. And she was trying to get away, and he was while he was begging her not to tell anybody what he did to her. And so she's trying to escape, and she tries to run, and then he ends up grabbing a hold of her, and he just chokes her, and she's dead. And I'm like, Gene, again, you should have left that job a long time ago, because this family is a mess. And anyway, so let's get back to Diane. Where am I in my notes? Okay, here we go. Diane. And she reads like a list of things that are wrong with Hunter. He's dumb. It's an eagle. He has an eagle the size of Texas, and the penis the size of a mountain. Okay, so clearly she's livid, and she's gonna get her revenge, and in a very big way. And I can't wait to talk about that part. But first, I gotta talk about everything else. So, Victoria goes to Sam, and she wants him to get Gail out of the bathroom, and so he has the keys to all the doors. So Secret Service, they have all the keys. So he gets the key to the door of the bathroom, and he opens it up, and Gail's like, "I don't want to go." And I'm like, "You didn't want to stay in the White House, and so why are you trying to stay in there?" And she probably has a better chance of escaping her crazy grandmother than escaping the White House, which is a lockdown fortress. But who knows, the grandmother may have her own lockdown fortress. She sounds crazy and creepy enough to have one. So anyway, after Gail is out of the room, Victoria's flirting with Sam again. "Do you have any kids?" And he's like, "No." And she's like, "Oh, that surprises me. You're so sexy." Victoria was doing the most with Sam. And so in the Oval Office, Hunter and Ellie had finished doing the do, and she's like, "That was pretty impressive." And then Hunter's all leaned back, like, "For a white boy." What? Some of these lines are so hysterical to me. Um, so Donald comes in, and Connor's not even trying to hide what he did, because he's half dressed, no shirt on, and he's getting dressed. He ends up getting dressed in front of Donald, and Donald is warning him, "Don't hire Ellie," and he's warning him that Diane is very angry, and Hunter just does not care. He thinks that there are no consequences, but he's gonna learn. He's gonna learn there are consequences. So for Priscilla, she has a conversation with Sam. She's like, "Why are you so horny? Are you on testosterone again?" And Sam claps back, and he's like, "You act like you're doing me a favor." So he was not here for some of Priscilla's remarks. Um, so on to Nancy and Richard. She comes home, and all he wants to know is who is Picky's father, but she's not telling. And that might have helped, help them, move forward, and in the process of Richard getting over this. But as long as Richard does not know that, I don't think he has any interest in even considering forgiving Nancy. And he had packed her things, and she's like, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. And I am telling you, I'm not going. Okay, so she didn't go into that, but she was just persistent. "I'm not leaving." And so he told her, "I'm gonna make your life here hell." And she's like, "That's a shame, because you're better than that." Okay, so at the White House, the grandmother is there, and she's being creepy as usual, and she kind of talks like Josephine Primus, the lady that played Louise's sister in the Jeffersons, and she was also on A Different World. She She had that deep voice, and she almost sounded like she could have been French or something from somewhere overseas. I think you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, a grandmother, she's basically, going through her whole routine of just being like the boss and all that. And she's telling Victoria how big of a disappointment she is, how she has to clean up her messes and all of that. And Victoria just stands there and takes it. She can talk rude to everybody else, but she can't talk rude to her mother who actually deserves it. So, um, it's like she actually wants her respect, even though she is just so mean and rude and hurtful toward Victoria to Victoria. And anyway, so Barry, he's somewhere. I guess he's like in some raggedy neighborhood. He's parked over there. And he calls Sam and he tells him that he's watching some people, some of the Rakadushis. And he says, "Well, what I got to tell you, I can't. I'm going to tell you when we can meet up." He had said this earlier. He had something to tell Sam, and he didn't want to do it over the phone. So when he hangs up with on Sam with Sam, he runs up to the crowd, and Ruth is in the crowd of people, and he runs up on her, and Ruth says, "The highest has our daughter. Oh, she's better there. She's good there." And so Barry's not having it, and he forces Ruth to go with him. And I'm like, "Oh, Barry, I hope you don't catch a kidnapping charge for that one." Um, so Sam got notice that Victoria had sent for him. And so he goes in the residence and she's in her slip waiting for him, or her lingerie. And he turns around and he sees her. And then he turns his head like, "I can't look at this." And so she's like, "Look at it. Look, she's just on display. Look at it." And she was just being really thirsty for attention. And then she starts talking about, "Oh, I used to run at night at the governor's mansion. Can you arrange for that to happen?" And Sam's like, "Well, that would be really difficult." And so she used that to talk about, "I used to be a runner in school. That's how these legs look like this." And so she wraps her leg around Sam. And like I said, she was really doing the most. And she's like, "Touch me." And I'm like, "You're being desperate now." And then she's talking about his package. "It's bigger than I thought." I just can't eat Victoria. So back with the press secretary. Diane got the results back, and here comes Ellie walking into her office with a file box. And she's like, "Oh, you're fired." And Ellie is just really, she's really buck right now. She's like, I got this." She's like, basically, she's like, "I got this job right now, so I'm gonna prance around and just be pretentious." And Diane's like, "Little girl, get your ass out of here." And Diane's like, "I work, working your way up, getting on your knees for a job is easy, but having the brains to work your way up to it is another matter." And you know, Diane, she put on a show. So she goes out there with the press. She tells everything. She tells everything. She talks about, there were some underwear in the Oval Office. They belong to a dead girl. The president, he runs after young women, or she said young girls. And she's saying, and I believe I forget exactly how she phrased it, but basically she said the new press secretary was all about great head, and she looked at Ellie and said, "Did you rinse after you swallow?" And then she's like, "Use my, you can use my mic to demonstrate." And I think how did she put it? I'll wipe it off after you're done. And she spilled everything. She dragged Hunter, she dragged Ellie, and then she's like, "Mic drop, bitches." And she also said, "If I turn up dead, then you'll know why." So she had everything covered. So hopefully, her saying that covered herself, because, you know, Diane's a good character, and I would like to see more of her, like, plotting against the president. And speaking of plotting against the president, I mean, the fact that we haven't seen a vice president seems like a miss to me with the writing, because if you're going to have a show about the president, you need a vice president. That person could at least play a sort of an antagonist, and be plotting against the president. That would make for some extra drama. But anyway, so Hunter tried to get in there to charge Diane, but he was held back. And then he tells Donald he was fired. He says, "You're fired." And Donald gets this real crazy look on his face, and I'm like, "Hunter, you can't fire Donald." Because Donald is part of this whole package. He talks about these 5 families that run everything. He comes with this whole package. And Kyle kind of he talked to Hunter, and he talked him down from firing Donald, but not that Hunter could fire him anyway. But you know, Kyle, I think, would take the president out if he fired Donald, because Kyle is insane, and Donald is insane himself. So they take the president out if Hunter actually fired him, or yeah, or if he tried to fire him, which is why I think that's why Kyle talked him down, because he really didn't want to have to dispose of him. And as crazy as this whole mess is, it seems like the president could be disposed of and someone else installed, because this show is crazy. So anyway, Alan, he asked her how she got the job. Of course, she doesn't say, and then she wants to use Diane's medical records against her, and Donald's like, "You can't do that." And but she does it. She goes out there in front of the press and says, "Well, Miss, I can't remember Diane's last name. She has some mental problems and all of that." So that was her answer for why Diane went off like that. But we'll see if the press buys it in the next season. So Priscilla, another maid comes and talks to her, and she says, "I can't find Jean. She's not anywhere." Priscilla's like, "Well, did she clock out?" Maid's like, "No, she didn't." And back at the Oval Office residence, um, Sam, he rejects Victoria because she was really pushing for something to happen, and he's like, "No, no, I can't do this." And she's like, "You're still hard." And then Priscilla is over there outside the residence. I presume she was looking around for Jean. And Sam, he's turned towards the door like this. And Priscilla's telling him all this stuff. "Well, I'm gonna make you this nice dinner when we get home, and I'm gonna wear this and all of that." And he's like, "Yeah." and he still turned this way, and Priscilla's like, turn around. And so finally he just has to do it, and she's like, Sam. And then he's like whisking her away, and it's like she's like puzzled at what's happening. And anyway, so the maid that had been looking for Jean, she goes into Jason's room, and she's fixing to straighten up, and she was at the bed, and I guess her foot, she stepped on something. So she looks under the bed, and she finds Jean under there dead, and of course she's screaming and all of that. And I'm like, so this is the second murder in the White House. The second. So that was the Oval, the season finale of the first season. I don't know when this is gonna come back because Tyler Perry Studios is in Georgia. Georgia has been hit really hard by the pandemic, so I don't know when they'll be able to resume filming. I don't know if they have any episodes in the can, so it might be a while before we get this one back. We'll see. But thanks for watching, and as always, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you the next time, everybody. Bye.